Go ahead and call the City of Peru Common Council meeting for April 2nd, 2018 to order. First, we have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Phyllis Lawrence. Then we'll have an invocation by Brent. I don't think Brent is here. Oh no, we need a backup invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom, you led us in prayer before. Would you like to do it again?
Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity tonight together to do business for our city, and please be with us. Help us to make wise decisions. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tommy.
All right, next we have roll call.
Holland. Guston.
Here.
Torrance.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Alley.
Here.
Langwell.
Here.
Crosskoff.
Yep.
All right, and here we have Mr. Holland joining us. We'll go ahead and mark him as present.
Thanks.
For the record, can you say here? Here. All right, there we go.
All right.
Make a grand entrance, don't you?
Next we have
Move we suspend the rules and dispense with reading correcting of the journal. Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskoff and seconded by Councilman Alley to suspend the rules and dispense with the reading and correcting of the journal. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next we have communications. I guess I'm the first one on the communications. I believe we had the invoice that was sent to the city from the county and your guys' inboxes. Last year we budgeted $120,000 out of CEDA funds to cover those costs. Per the interlocal, the way that it's set up, Tom, you were in those meetings. I think Terry, Tom, were you in those meetings too, or was it Terry? Okay, we did both of you. The way that we set it up was they would submit the real budget from the previous year to us the following year to try to give us some time and them some time to give us accurate numbers. The way that it works out, it doesn't really quite work because even though we got last year's numbers this year, obviously we can't budget this year, how much we're going to spend. So, I mean, if we really want to do a true, this is what it is, and we're paying a real budget, we'd have to wait 2 years for them to get the numbers and then for us to put that number into the budget for the following year. So we're kind of stuck, I think, realistically, in doing our best guess and then possibly doing additional appropriation to pay for the actual cost, which is how it worked out this year. We're not doing anything on that tonight, but I just want to give the council enough heads up in case we wanted anyone from the county to answer any questions about the budget, or if there was anything else that the council needed before making that decision. Like I said, we won't bring it till next time because we did just get this late last week. Tom?
For the council's edification, there was a $520,000 debt to AT&T, but the county has assumed that debt. I mean, we don't have to worry about paying for that. That's over and above what we're talking about here.
Right. That is really all I wanted to say about that for the council. So, we do have Jim Tidd here for Makita to talk to us about the TIP report.
Mr. Tidd, front and center, please. We'll add you to the agenda.
Thank you. No, I apologize for not getting on the agenda. We just finalized the report actually today. So thank you very much for your time. This is somewhat time sensitive. But what you have in front of you is a TIF management report. Each year, redevelopment commissions across the state of Indiana have to file a TIF management report to the Department of Local Government Finance. Data as far as the amount of revenue that was generated in each TIF area within a certain jurisdiction and the expenditures from that TIF within each jurisdiction goes into this management report. It's entered through Gateway, which I think Tish today, it was actually prepared by UMBA for us, and Tish went ahead and submitted it via Gateway today.
Yes.
The deadline is April the 15th to do that. So just a couple of things that I wanted to highlight on here. Of course, the first section you see are the TIFs that are either the responsibility of the city or the responsibility of the county. You have Grissom, you have the US 2431 that was initially established, and then you have the Phase 1A US 2431, and that's when we expanded that initial TIF area to include the downtown area of Peru. Then you have the West End allocation area, or the West End TIF, and then you have the expanded West End TIF, which we did when we added the CSX property to that West End. So as you can see, those are the TIFs there. One of them is the county. Grissom has jurisdiction, and then, of course, the city has 2431 and the West End TIF. Things, if you jump down to see the finance section, and again, I'll just go over the US 24 and 31 TIF area and the West End TIF. As you can see, and I apologize for the small writing on here, but the revenues that came into the 24 and 31 TIF area last year looks like, from what I can see, 33,000, is that 563? 61, and expenditures were $40,340. And then, as you can see, the West End allocation area did not generate any revenue, and therefore we didn't have any expenses in that area. If you go on the second page, down to fund balance section, you can see Phase 1 in US 24 and 31, that TIF allocation fund, the balance in that fund as of the end of December of 2017 is a little over 17,000, and then again with the West End TIF, the balance in that fund is zero. We are currently in the process, UMBA is helping us do an evaluation of the West End TIF to find out how we got upside down. And when I say upside down, I mean that our base assessed valuation basically has gone, see what would be the best way to say that, our base AV has gone down. Even though we've had development that's occurred in the West End, the base assessed value has gone down based on the assessment that's been done by the county. And even though we've had things like the new McDonald's, we've had things like the improvements that were done to Pizza Hut, the improvements that were done to Wings. Now Casey's is not in that formulation for this year, but the base assessed AV goes down, or has gone down. So what happens then, as new increment of financing comes in with those projects, that base assessed value that was established has to be back to zero. So you're using some of the new evaluation to make sure that you have that original base assessed value back to where it was when the TIF was set up. So we're doing evaluations to try to find out what can be done to help that situation. I would be happy to answer any questions about this TIF management report. I would ask, there's no action for the council to take tonight. However, I would ask that the minutes of the council meeting reflect the fact that we provided copies of the TIF management report for the year end 2017 to the council members, also to the mayor and to clerk treasurer as required by statute.
Okay. sure that's in the minutes for
Thank you.
the next meeting.
Will do.
And then the rest of this is just parcel listing of each parcel within the particular areas broken out by which TIF. So, and just for FYI, there is one additional TIF in the county, and that is Converse. Converse has its own TIF, but it's managed by the town of Converse. So, and they do all the reporting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, let's see, we had communications. Michelle, do you want to talk about this?
Civic Center?
Yep.
Sure. Peru Civic Center, February 2018. Number of guests was 330, meals 12, meals served. Total collected 287 for meals. Rent was 159, and catering brought in $642. Total paid to the city was $205.60. Thank you. That's it.
Okey-doke. Rest of the communications were given to you before the meeting. And look at them when you get a chance. Okay, guess we're ready for unfinished business.
For unfinished business, we have ordinance 12, 2018.
Ordinance 12, 2018, an ordinance for additional appropriations.
I move we adopt ordinance 12, 2018.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskoff and second by Councilman Guston to adopt ordinance 12, 2018.
Okay, we're still buying the fire trucks, right?
That's correct.
Okay. 2 new command vehicles, is that what you buy?
Yes, one command, one is our truck that we use every day to pretty much run errands, run equipment back and forth to fires, hose, and stuff like that. One's 16 years old, one's 15 years old, and so it's pretty much their end of their life. And we're going to recycle the one truck back to the Parks Department. So have a second line. We're asking for $64,405.
Any questions for the chief? Questions from the audience? Roll call.
Holland,
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Alley.
Yes.
Langwell.
Yes.
Krauskopf.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we have new business, ordinance 13, 2018.
Ordinance 13, 2018, an ordinance to amend ordinance 29, 2017.
I move we consider ordinance 13, 2018.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskoff and second by Councilwoman Torrance to consider ordinance 13, 2018. Roll call.
Holland,
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Alley.
Yes.
Langwell.
Yes.
Krauskopf.
Yes. Okay, we want to,
And I did ask the clerk treasurer to make sure to put notice so that we could pass this tonight in the same reading. Talked to the Golf Pro and like to get it done as soon as possible.
are we just restoring his pay to what it was in the previous year?
Yes.
Plus the
Plus the 1.5%.
plus the 10%, plus the reason. Okay. So we're just restoring the golf pro's salary to what it was the previous year, and then also the increase base, just like everybody else got, right?
Correct.
Any questions?
Does this include back pay that, we've been paying the 25 or
Right.
20, right?
Yeah, and the way that it is, it's worded for the entire year so that he would get that back pay then too for what he has missed for the first 3 months.
Was this something we overlooked?
I say,
Well,
we discussed this.
right, what had happened is the Parks Board was in negotiations about the new contract, so we didn't have a finalized price on that. When we put together the wage ordinance, not knowing the price to put in there at post-negotiations, basically a spot filler was put in at that time. We've had multiple meetings and discussions with the Golf Pro and members of the Parks Board, and we negotiated other parts of the contract as far as proceeds from the golf carts and the concession stand, which were part of the contract previously. And so we came to an agreement with that and decided to restore the pay to what it was previously.
But I feel like, this is for working 8 months out of the year versus 12 months.
Yeah. And, right, and so I understand your concern, and I know there's other people that have the same concerns. I talked with Pat about that, because I do feel like it's pretty rich. And so Pat is retiring, after next year.
Right.
And Pat worked with me and the Parks Board. He was very open and very, congenial, working with us through all this and talking about the different concerns that we had. And given that he has 2 years left before retirement, felt like with how much he was working with the city and being a good partner, working through these issues, I didn't feel that it was appropriate to do a significant cut on his pay 2 years before retirement.
I think you also have to realize that he does not work an 8-hour day like everybody else does. He's there at 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night because he's there when the golfers are playing. The golfers are starting at 6 in the morning and going until it gets dark. So he's not working 7 to 4 or 7 to 3, so he's not working. He may only work 8 months, but he's working more hours in those 8. He's working 2,000 hours a year, just like everybody else would. So.
And so he has 2 years after 18, right, 2018?
18 and 19
18 and, so
is
this one
what I
and
believe.
the next one.
Yeah.
So we would, pick up this year and then next year, and that would be it. He's retiring.
Right, and I think that it's definitely appropriate to look at that position after Pat's retirement and take a hard look at, whether we want to fill that with the same type of position at that same kind of pay. But I think it would be unfair to, at this point.
I think we're very fortunate to have a pro for that price.
So, yeah.
Well, but then when I look at, some of the wages of, like the police department, fire department, I just think, and they're putting their life on the line, and they are working the full 12 months out of the year. I just think that, the golf pro, he has a lot of responsibilities, but versus those that, are saving lives, that it's just not fair that they're earning, the same salary, he's earning the same salary as they are. That's my main concern,
Actually, more in some cases.
I'm sorry.
More in some cases. A general police officer is not making that kind of money. Firefighter is not making that kind of money. And this is a full-time position, correct? So we're talking benefits here, too. So medical, retirement, all that, which brings it up quite a lot higher than the $42,000.
But it's the same as all the other city employees, too.
I just find it hard to justify that kind of money for a golf pro when we're already paying a superintendent $40,000. The golf course costs us a lot of money. It really does. They need an irrigation system, which from a city council meeting, just for the pump house was going to be over $100,000. I can't see how we can justify these prices for something. I understand it's nice to have a golf course, it's a draw and all that, but we're not running tournaments out of there that are bringing people in or anything like this. And I find it really hard to justify keep pumping more and more money into something that's not bringing anything back to the citizens of Peru.
Well,
Large.
Well, I would argue that there is tournaments. There might not be like GPA level tournaments, but there are tournaments that do bring people in from outside the community. I think an overall discussion about the utility of having a municipally owned golf course. We do have one, and I think that the golf pro is needed for the golf course that we do have. So, if the council wanted to have a larger discussion about the overall direction of the parks and whether we felt we needed a golf course municipally owned, I think it'd be a separate discussion. But I think the fact that we do have one and that this position is needed because Gary Clark, who is our ground supervisor, he does do an excellent job taking care of the golf course as far as keeping the grounds, but he wouldn't be able to take the fees as far as when people come in and pay for the rounds of golf or rent the golf carts. So this position's needed, whether it be under the title of golf pro or anything else. If we're going to have a golf course, we definitely need this position to keep it running. Because the golf course, and you are right, the golf course costs money. It also brings in about half of the cost of the golf course. Golf course costs around $300,000. It brings in about $150,000, and that my numbers might be a little off there. But as far as the department bringing in its costs. I don't think another department comes close to bringing in the amount of its expenditures as the golf course does. So, but I guess I think that's part of a bigger discussion about the golf course.
I agree. Can I speak?
Kurt is the president or the chair, so.
But yes,
I agree, it needs to be part of, if there's going to be a discussion, but I will just say there needs to be a discussion, because there's a lot of benefits that can be discussed about the benefits of having a golf course. So, but it needs to be a discussion, so I won't go into those.
So do we have are we getting the golf carts?
Yeah, that was part of the negotiations. We have the golf carts, and we're taking in the revenue from the golf carts now as a city.
So it would belong to us, the
Yes.
city,
Yes.
and we'll get the benefit from them.
Yep.
Okay. So as far as, like, for the next 2 years until you redo the park department's budget and all, right?
Yeah, and the way that we have it set up now, the funds that are coming in from the golf carts are going into the irrigation fund. So it stays within the golf department for, like Joe mentioned, the costs that are associated with having a golf course.
you can think of it the same way as the airport. We have an airport.
Right.
We pay money out for an airport. And it's one of those things that you need to do to be a municipality. So, I mean, the airport doesn't bring in hardly anything.
Right.
Versus what we spend out,
You're
so.
right. I can understand that.
Of course, it doesn't cost us as much as the golf course.
But more people participate playing golf than flying in and out of the airport too, so.
Right. How long has he been pro?
I believe since 2011.
11?
He's not been there that long.
Yeah.
Ever since Bob retired. Now,
Oh, okay.
Bob was pro for a long time.
Okay. Was his wages pretty much the same as going now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going, it's not made any appreciable jumps more than any other department head has. So, no,
Okay.
lockstep with them.
Okay.
Okay, I move that we consider and adopt, that we were allowed to consider and adopt ordinance 13, 2018 in the same meeting.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskoff and seconded by Councilman Guston to adopt and consider and adopt in the same night. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Move we adopt ordinance 13, 2018.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskoff and seconded by Councilman Guston to adopt ordinance 13, 2018.
Holland?
Oh, wait a minute, any other discussion? Okay, now roll call.
Holland?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Lee?
No.
Alley?
Yes.
Langwell?
Yes.
Krauskopf?
Yes.
And the motion passes. I believe that is all on the agenda for tonight.
Kurt,
Yes.
does it not have to be unanimous on a,
No, we're just approving the,
It was, the consideration has to be unanimous, and it was.
the consideration? Gotcha.
Mr. Guston?
I meant to do this at the last meeting. We need to commend our attorney for all the hard work that he has done
Absolutely.
with these ordinances. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's appreciated. I want you to know that.
Thank you, but it's not all myself. There's a lot of people involved.
He has his minions helping him.
Right.
He has his minions helping him.
His minions?
Well, and I can tell you that I think that's right, Tom.
That's another story.
Our attorney has done a lot, has been there, he's there daily, asking what he can do and how much he can help, and it is great to have somebody willing to put that kind of work into it, so I 100% agree. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I agree.
Anything further from the council?
I have a question.
Okay, what?
Has anybody seen the report? I know we were like verbally given one, you'd given one, gave one, how much the,
Building department.
thank you, building department, was bringing in, and as opposed to, we'd raised the pay there for a full-time position, and we were supposed to be getting a physical report. on that. Like I said, you know, I know you had given us one verbally. But anybody?
We had a printout that we gave.
Can, yeah, if you would.
No, we did.
We did?
Mhm.
You were late.
I was going to say, was this
Was
the
it
meeting
today?
that I was gone? at the
Yeah, it was the meeting you were gone.
Did
I'm
it, did
sorry.
it show up before I got here? I missed
I know that we made print-offs and put them down. They weren't in your box. They were placed in position before the meeting.
I think you were gone, really.
Put things in a box, I don't always get there, thank you.
Okay.
I don't get notified then.
Well, that night of the meeting, I placed them at your guys' seats that
That's the same
night.
when you gave when you told us about it?
When we went over them that night,
Yeah.
that's the night that I put them in front of your guys' seats there.
How about that?
I mean, we can print it off again and give it to you again. We have it.
Yeah, might as well. Would you please?
Yeah, no problem.
Could you please send it out to us so we get information?
You in the email? Okay. Yep, we'll email it to you too.
I don't know.
Again.
Okay, anything further from the audience? No? Yes?
Do I need to come up, or can I say?
Sure.
It's not that we can't hear you, it's the people on the TV that watch
I can't
things that go on. We'd like
The
to,
difference between sitting there and coming up.
because the microphone is
I
here
know that.
and the camera sees you better.
My name's Kent Workman. I do not like coming in here, so I just wanted to share a concern. Looking at the ordinances, there's an ordinance that set up the Parks Board, and according to the ordinance, the chief executive officer is to appoint those members. I'm not here to cause any problems, but there's nothing in there that says when the chief executive or how much time they have. So we haven't had a Parks Board meeting in, maybe
Yeah.
3 months.
3 months. Mhm.
And I'm just curious to what's going on. I mean, I don't want to have a debate on whether we should have a Parks Board, because that needs to be taken out of the ordinances. And I'm not here to cause a problem, but I'd just like to ask the question on when can we expect to have a Park Board meeting? And like I said, there's nothing in there that says that the chief executive has to appoint someone by a certain amount of times after they place the position's been vacating, but there's also nothing in there that says the mayor can have as much time as he wants. So I guess that is my question and my concern.
And we did talk about this for over 2 hours in a recorded meeting. I think we went over, spoke with Kent in that meeting, like I said, 2 hours. We covered all of those issues. They're on YouTube and on the city's website. You can watch the entire meeting and get all the information that there is on the issue. I don't know if we want to go into another 2-hour meeting here. You can watch it on the YouTube channel and find out all the reasons. I know I thought I expressed to Mr. Workman what was going on and why the delay in great detail. So I think we could all save some time and watch the video.
Are you working on reappointing people?
Yeah, and so what I explained to Kent last night, or not last night, the last meeting, was that appointing board members is a long process that isn't as easy as just saying, hey, that person's on the board. Board members need a lot of time and care as far as explaining the budget, what their duties are, and these types of things. And with everything that was going on with the Parks Board, negotiating Pat's contract and those issues, there was a lot of reasons why I didn't feel like bringing on an entirely new board to tackle those issues at that moment was appropriate. Things wouldn't have gotten done. We were talking about issues that had gone on for years with previous Parks Board that weren't resolved. And so I think that taking on almost an entirely new Parks Board to take on those issues that hadn't been resolved in years wasn't the right course of action to take. So like I told Kent the night of the meeting, I do plan on reappointing those board members. It's going to be a process, and we're working through a lot of issues right now on the parks that is, I think, better served to get these things done now through the board works, which is where we've made some of the decisions and got some of these things done. It's getting answers to the public that they've been waiting for years. So that's kind of the nutshell of it. But like I said, we discussed this in length for over 2 hours, and that it is online.
Just curious, and I'll go watch the video myself to have a lot more of the information, but do you think that there was just a lack of information amongst the board members, and so you're saying that we need to better educate before we just place any random person on the board?
That, yeah, overall, I think that's pretty accurate. That a board appointment, especially one where there's that much to digest and that many decisions to be made, you really need to spend time with people before appointing, after appointing. And like I mentioned in the meeting that night, when Kent was appointed to the board before he resigned, we spent hours together talking about the budget. We spent hours together talking about Pat's contract. We spent a lot of time. The parks is not the only thing that is taking up hours of time for me. So to take on 4 new people, or I'm sorry, it would be three more people right now, and take on that same process, it's going to be something that's going to take time for me. And I don't feel comfortable just saying, well, there's somebody in the public that really wants to have these done right now. There's no decisions being made as far as the Parks Board that isn't in a public forum. That's why we've been taking them to the Board of Works. Those meetings are recorded. Those meetings have members of the public coming to them on a regular basis as it is. Those meetings are also more often than once a month. So I think the way it's being handled in the interim right now is appropriate, and it is as visible and as accessible as a meeting can get. Like I said, the reason why you guys can go back and watch the meeting where we discussed all this is because it did take place at a Board of Works meeting. And so it's recorded for all the public to see. I will do it. I personally, I won't cave to being pressured into rushing that process. I don't care how upset people are. It is too important for me to get people on and get them all the information they need and time spent with them that is required. And so I know that Ms. Workman wants it done now, and he wants a timeline. It will take me some time.
May I comment?
Sure, yeah.
As you watched the video, I had some concern, and for the push of that was to make decisions for that meeting, and I just wanted to express my concern that the Board of Works, according to ordinances, are not supposed to be making those decisions. And when he says there are decisions that need to be going on with the Parks Department, right now it's set up for a Parks Department. If you look at the state law, all these decisions the Board of Works is making is supposed to be done by a Parks Board. And I don't want this to be controversial, but I was a little offended when he said that it took time for him to train me. There was no appointment set up for me to be trained. I went to him, only because when I make decisions, I want to be the best informed I can. And I apologize if I took your time. I talked to other people too. So I don't think all it says is the mayor is supposed to appoint the park board members. It didn't say he's supposed to train them. I mean, we can learn on our own. Right now would be the best time. We've got 3 openings. The mayor can appoint those that he feels best serves, but serve, and it says an interest and a knowledge in the parks and recreation. So I don't want to rush him, but like he said, there's decisions being made, and he said his time he's busy now too. I think it should be done with the Parks Board. So I don't know what can be done. Those are just my opinions. I mean, you go out in the community and you find something you feel strongly about, even if it's just a little bit of the parks or whatever, okay? And then, yes, he appointed me, and there was some things going on that, for me, myself, had struggled with. So I lasted 2 or 3 meetings. But when I found out that these weren't being replaced, I went back to him and I said, appoint me again, if it means we're not going to have a park board. Not that I'm the best person, because I was a quitter, I know. And thank you for beating me in the election, because I don't think I could have done it. But I don't know if there's anything you can do, is either make a resolution, maybe give them a certain amount of time, because I think, regardless of what you say, there's decisions and thoughts and input going on, not only in public meetings, okay? I mean, what kind of planning is going on with the future of the parks, or a 5-year plan, or something like that? Where are they getting their input? And we can go into the merits of having a parks board. But to get rid of the parks board, you have to get rid of the parks board, okay? I don't want to see it gone away just because we don't have time And just in case there's not someone that's interested, there were 3 people in that meeting that said they'd be interested to serve. And it was a good conversation, and those 3 people gave excellent input. So there is people in the community. And I guess my concern is, nothing against any particular mayor, but the parks, it's its own entity. It's been here a long time, it's got its own levy. And there's, there's special interest, and I can go back to the last mayor. I mean, I don't think it's no secret, the mayor wanted to get rid of the softball diamond and put in an amphitheater. Well, that caused rift in the community. But he did it through the Parks Board. It wasn't like, and if the Parks Board wouldn't have been there, he could have just said, hey, I want an amphitheater. Let's go through the Board of Works and put an amphitheater in. Where on the other hand, if you have a Parks Board, you've got people that are looking out for the parks. Because our parks isn't used like it should be. It's beautiful down there. I mean, I just sat there and just look at the creeks and all that stuff, and I just want, to be people to advocate for it. It didn't have to be me, because I was going to the meetings anyway. I prefer to do that and help out going to the meetings and giving input. And yes, there were some things going on, and I could share it with you, but not in a public meeting. But I just don't want to see it continue to go on and say, okay, we're able to do this with the Board of Works. Well, you don't need a park board. So, and I don't want to put any pressure, but just my personal opinion, being a taxpayer and feeling strongly about the parks, it's best, no matter how dysfunctional or functional it is, a board can be as functional, and there's an opportunity for Mayor Greer to appoint someone from the community. He gets 3 appointments, and then 4 years later, a new mayor comes in, or maybe it might be him again, they can appoint someone else. But see, the mayor may change, but the park board members stay the same, because every year there's another park board member on there to be advocate. So, I'm sorry, am I going too long?
Yeah.
Bottom line, Kent, he is responsible.
Right.
That's the bottom line. So, what do you want us to do? Why are you telling us this?
I don't know.
He has the bottom line, not us.
So
what do you want us to do?
I agree with your sentiments, something.
We need a
I would
Parks Board.
say that something needs to be addressed. We've got a Parks Board with, are there any members on it all, or is it empty?
I think there's 2 members.
There's one full member, then there's the school board's pro tem, not pro tem.
So you don't even have a quorum?
No.
Well, I would say we need to, it's not our responsibility, but I would say that it should be taken care of. It should be addressed in an expedient fashion to get it.
I guess the only the resolution I would ask of you is, and I don't know how you do go about this, but if you just look at ordinance, and I'm by the rules, that's the way I am, there's nothing in there. It just says the chief executive appoints the board members. It doesn't say how long, or can he take 5 years to do it and just not have a parks board? I don't know. So I didn't know if maybe we need to amend the ordinance. Then you would have something, or I don't know if you can make resolutions that are non-ordinance. I'm just sharing my concerns. So
If I were forced into making a decision, I would say, I'll make my decision because I'm responsible, and that's what he has said. And that's the end of it as far as I'm concerned. What he says is where it's going to be. And if it takes you 5 weeks, it's going to take you 5 weeks. If it takes 3 days, it's 3 days. But the bottom line is, you're responsible.
okay. And thank you for listening to me. There's a freedom of speech, and I appreciate that. And there's other ways to express your opinion. So I like to go chain of command. I go to the person directly. I go up the chain of command, and then if I have to start, and I don't want to do this, but if I have to start doing letters to the editor, because that's the freedom of speech, to get something done, that's what you have to do. And I try not to do that, because you build enemies and burn bridges. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kent.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Yeah, one quick thing. It has to do with this. Just for the record, the only decision that was made at the Board of Works meeting was for the rental, to the fees for the amphitheater, which the Parks Board hadn't done in 2 years since the amphitheater had been open. So, the Parks Board wasn't doing it anyways, and we needed some kind of a fee schedule for them. So, that's it.
Okay. There being nothing further, further, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
We're out.